Alicia, also known as AVP 60685. So in case you guys didn't know, I am a huge gamer, and I have played many games over the years. And one of the things that I used to do on my channel a long time ago, which I haven't done in a while, but basically I review and give my input on the Nancy Drew games. And basically, I try to tell the pros and cons of the games. I tell what I liked about it. I tell what I disliked about it. And about the puzzles, characters I liked, settings, things like that. So let me backtrack a teensy bit. When the last Nancy Drew game that had Lonnie Manella in it, that voices Nancy Drew typically, Sea of Darkness, we were wondering, well, what's going to happen next for Nancy Drew and what's going to be her misadventure, so to speak. So we got a little teaser of it, so to speak, thinking that one of Nancy Drew's rivals is asking Nancy for help, saying, hey, could you investigate something? And something seemed to be out of place. No problem. But then gradually it dragged on much longer than what we anticipated. So basically, what we thought was going to be 1 year in the making turned out to be nearly 5 years in the making, with a lot of delays, a lot of voice actors and actresses changed and replaced, character designs shifted around, settings changed around, and when we finally got the final release, I will say this, that many of us, myself included, were very disappointed by what we saw. For one thing that we noticed was the price increase of the Nancy Drew games. Nancy Drew games are typically about $15 to $20, and we're willing to pay that because we know we get bonus material with that. And we also get special bonuses if we pre-order these games. But here's the thing, the pre-order sales went on delay not once, but twice. And here's the thing, we were told that the price increase had increased as well for these Nancy Drew games. And that was very frustrating for many of us in the community. Like, wait a minute, if we're paying for a pre-order and we're not getting any extra bonus footage or anything like that because of it being a bonus game, why should I buy the game as a pre-order, so to speak? There's nothing that's giving me a reward to order it early. So many of us chose to hold off on pre-ordering, myself included, and I waited a while, and then I saw the bombshell. The game was not what we thought it was going to be at all. They had changed characters around, they had changed settings around, and so I said, okay, I'm going to hold off on buying the game until it comes on sale some kind of way. So I finally waited for a couple of months, and then Steam had a sale. So I finally purchased it through Steam, and I waited for it to download, and it took a little while for it to download and upload to my computer. Once I finally got it downloaded, then I had to go through the menu setting to figure out which graphics I wanted to use and the display settings that would fit best for my computer. Now, my computer is technically 3 years older than what it's supposed to be. So it was released in 2015, my computer was, but I bought it 3 years later, approximately. And so a lot of the stuff I was thinking was still going to be up to par, everything's going to be great, and it still is up to par to this day in 2021. We've had a few little glitches here and there, but it's not something that's not workable or salvageable. So I'm willing to go through past all the graphics and try the higher graphic settings, maybe try medium settings if need be. And, well, when I actually started playing the game, the voices really started irking on my nerves. And I'm looking at it, I'm like, what am I looking at? You hear Nancy's voice, And it doesn't sound like, yeah, she sounds younger than Lonnie Manila and everything like that. And she's supposed to be, I guess, 18. And I'm listening to it. I'm like, where's the spunk? I don't feel like this is a spunky 18-year-old that's been solving mysteries throughout the world. And I'm like, where's the oomph, so to speak, to make her feel like that this is Nancy Drew? I'm listening to her talk and I'm like, mmm, disappointment big time. Once I finally get the game started and playing, I have a hard time interacting in the setting. There's no tutorial on what to do. You go into room after room and then you really don't know what you're supposed to do. When you finally randomly click on something, you may right click something, you may accidentally left click something, and then when you do that, guess what? Then that's when you get the puzzle. But the thing is, there's no instructions on how to play it. It doesn't say this is the way to solve it. And here's the thing, when you finally get it after multiple tries, you're just like finally like, oh, what a relief, that's finally over with. And then you have this phone that's supposed to be giving you your task list, and it's like you can't really see what you're supposed to do. The phone conversations are just weird, and the characters, when you interact with them, is just like, I'll give an example. With Deirdre Shannon, she was following me around, and I wasn't aware that she was supposed to be following me a lot. So when I would rotate Nancy around, I would notice that Deirdre was like right behind me, and I'm thinking, girl, give me some space. I wasn't aware that she was still technically following me around for the case. I understand that they were supposed to be partners, but it's like, Deirdre, a little breathing space, sweetheart, please. I can't, you're smothering me. And then, like I said, you start going through the puzzles, you start reading the books, and it's like you have to literally scroll through the whole inventory list to finally find the item that you're looking for. And you have to sometimes zoom in, and then sometimes you have to click it a certain way in order to turn it around. Like, say this ink pen. If I click it one way, it may end up this way. But then if I click it another way, it ends up this way. And it says, do you want to interact with it this way? I'm thinking, wait a minute, it's still the same pen. Why can't I interact with it the way it was before? Why can't I keep it in the shape that I had it originally? It's just so frustrating. And then once you finally figure out what you're supposed to do, Nancy doesn't technically tell you you've got it correctly either. It's like, wait a minute here, did I do it right? Did I do it wrong? What am I doing wrong? And you don't know where you messed up. You really don't know where you messed up. So a lot of times you have to restart the puzzle. You have to restart the area you were in. And yes, it saves the game, but the thing is, the dialogue is just so lengthy with these characters. It's like, wait a minute here. Sometimes you want them to just shut up because you're trying to solve the case. You're trying to figure out what you need to do. I mean, I was very disappointed with that. I really, really was. I mean, I like seeing Deirdre in it. She was fine, except for when she was like on my back the whole time. The only characters I was halfway crazy about was Hardy Boys. But they changed their look yet again. I've seen the Nancy Drew games, and I've played the games, and I've played many, many of them, and I love the ones where Nancy gets to interact with the Hardy Boys. Now, the Hardy Boys are my personal favorite of Nancy Drew characters that are besides Nancy. Yes, I love Bess and George, and obviously Ned and everything like that, but I was partial to Joe and Frank Hardy. So I remember the first couple of times when we had the Nancy Drew games, we'd hear them only as a phone contact. And then we finally get them in Last Train to Blue Moon Canyon. And they looked a little bit cartoony, but it was decent. And then we see them again in the game Creature of Kapu Cave, and they really changed Frank and Joe again. I'm like, wait a minute here, because now Joe looks almost like Jesse McCarthy, and he looks like he's just come from the beach, which obviously he is so called from just coming from the beach, but the way it is just so weird, very strange indeed. It's like, what am I looking at? Why am I seeing this? And yeah, their voices are always the same practically, but it's just so weird. And then we see them again as phone contacts again for other games, and they changed them yet again. I was fine with that, the way they did it when they did Labyrinths of Lies. I was fine with the way they had redesigned Frank and Joe again. I was totally fine with that revamped. I really did. But then they changed them again in this game. And I'm like, why are you changing them again after we have seen them so many times depicted in the games, and us fans have told you time and time again, we like this depiction the best. But yet they changed it yet again, and it's like, what am I looking at? Because at first I didn't really fully realize who it was at first. The voices finally tipped me off. Oh, that's Frank and Joe. But the thing is, it was just so weird. It was really, really weird because they're not really like their usual selves. That's the only way I can put it. They're not like them usual selves. And the mystery doesn't seem to be really mystery per se in this game either. It just felt like it was just like somebody was blamed and the whole town is against her, so to speak, and it deals with tainted water. And it's like, I thought we were dealing with a case of somebody that was going to be accused of something much more serious than it was. But then they have these crazy characters that you think they're the culprit. It seems like they're the culprit, but then when you start piecing it together, you realize, no, this isn't the culprit after all. The culprit is actually someone very, very close to the one that we're trying to get the frame off of, so to speak. And it's like, what? You guys did it so twisted. It felt like a twisted pretzel that was turned one way, then it was turned another way. It's like, what are you guys doing? The settings were really okay in its own way. I like seeing underneath the abandoned house that one of the characters was living in. And I also liked seeing the town square. But the thing is that was crazy, and I hate it so bad, is that so much of the game, it felt incomplete. Some of it was so closed off that you couldn't go off into this down street because it's blocked off, because say it's protesters. You try to go off on another street and it's blocked off by a street barrier sign saying closed for repairs. And it's like, and you have to turn your mouse just a certain way in order to manipulate a way around in this town square. It's ridiculous. That I did not like at all. I mean, some people said that the new controls made them sick. It didn't make me sick. It just made me frustrated more than anything, that I couldn't control my mouse the typical way. Because the way I normally use my mouse is I just point and click. This was not just point and click, guys. If you're thinking this is like the other Nancy Drew games where you just point, click, and occasionally rotate objects, no, you're going to be so disappointed. You really are. I mean, like I said, waiting nearly 5 years of my life for this game, and I'm telling everybody, be patient, it's going to be well worth it. I'm sorry. I am truly, truly sorry. That was just cringy. It really, really was. I was so disappointed about what I was seeing, because as a Nancy Drew fan, I knew we deserved better. This was not the Nancy Drew game that many of us waited for. This was not what we were expecting when we kept saying Nancy Drew's coming back. This is not the Nancy Drew that many of us have seen over the years. We've seen Nancy Drew played as Lonnie Manella. We've seen different depictions of Nancy Drew on the screen and also in television shows. But the thing is, the way she's depicted in this game, it's like, She has hardly any chemistry with anybody. Her voice sounds the same whether she's excited or happy or scared, except for when she just is like little scream kind of thing. But it's like it seems so shallow. It's like I don't like it. The music was okay in the game. The puzzles, like I said, because there was no instructions on them, I really didn't like the way they were because you didn't know which one was a puzzle, how to solve it. It didn't tell you how to solve it because you just had to do a lot of trial and error for some of them. Like one was in the cemetery, you're having to set these device ghost tracker machines that Frank and Joe are in the cemetery trying to set them up, and you're playing as Frank and you're trying to set them up, and Joe is right there beside of you, but Joe is helpless as a kitten, not telling you what you're doing wrong or what you're. He just tells you, "Yay, you got it." I'm like, yeah. After struggling for over an hour, I mean, one puzzle took me almost 24 hours to finally solve that puzzle. These puzzles were ridiculous the way they were done. I was not impressed with it. I really was not. I was very disappointed by that. And I thought we deserved better, especially as people that love puzzles. I mean, I myself love puzzles and challenges. But when I finally saw the final result, I was just disgusted. I was ready to just give up. But I told myself if I bought this game and I got it on sale, I was going to make an effort to finish it. And I made an effort to finish it. I really did, which was hard. It really, really was. I was so mad by this game, by what I was seeing. And I'm like, what am I looking at? Why am I so disappointed? And I realized, you know what? Because it didn't feel right. It didn't go well. It just was just meh. The whole thing felt meh. Like it was missing something. And I'm like, what am I looking at? Why is this game this way? It's not, it shouldn't be this way. So I'm looking over my Steam because I played this game. And like I said, I've only played it once. And I got 20 out of the 23 games. Sorry, 20 out of the 23 achievements for this game. So there was 23 achievements that you could get. And so I got the Easter egg one. A thing called AW, which you find a strange key. The creepy message that was shredded at the Perry house. I completed the tour where it says welcome to Salem. Happy Halloween, I carved a dozen pumpkins. Curse not the darkness. Nancy's beliefs are challenged. The breakfast challenge where I made way too many Johnny cakes. Investigate everything, read everything, piece of evidence. Investigate everyone. Everyone's chores, help Lorna in her shop. Get stock from L. Decipher the coded note. It's right there. Have your tea time interrupted. Observant, where I completed the CCTV timeline. Ergot. Discover the plot behind the hauntings. Open Sesame. Open a secret passageway. Family. Solves a circle riddle. A narrow escape. Flee the ghostly terrors. Heritage. I chose to let the two characters share the estate at the end. Another case solved. Finish Midnight in Salem. And Trivia Tamer. I answered the trivia one correctly. The only three I didn't do was I didn't solve it on Master Sleuth. And then there was two other ones that basically related to the ending and stuff like that. But like I said, with this one, I was just so disappointed by what I was seeing. I really was disappointed by this in so many ways because we deserved better. We really did. I mean, this was not the game that we were expecting. It's not. And played it once, and I've told myself, you know what? I'm not in a hurry to play this game again. I'm really not. I mean, I love playing games multiple times, but like I said, to play this one, it's like, yeah. This was cringy on so many levels. I mean, the way they talk down to the characters, it's like, like I said, I just don't get why it had to be the way it was. Because, like I said, as someone that loves these games, I was just sorely disappointed. And I couldn't believe what I was seeing by this. I just could not believe what I was seeing. And like I said, as a Nancy Drew game fan, I just, I could not believe what I was seeing. I mean, I was absolutely horrified by this. I really was. And it's just, as a gamer, as a Nancy Drew fan, this was not the game that I felt we were promised. The graphics were done poorly in this. I mean, I felt like they were just finally trying to get it all rushed together to finish it up for us and put it together. But when we finally see what happened, it's just like, what the heck were you guys doing? What were you thinking when you did this? This was not the game we were promised. Because, like I said, when we first saw this game's trailer, teasers, we were thinking it was going to be one way. And then when we finally see the end result, we're just absolutely horrified. It's like, what happened between this and our final result? So, I know I've been rambling quite a bit about this because, like I said, this game really got to me on many levels. I was like so disappointed, and I didn't like the fact that this left me disappointed instead of happy. And so I normally do my ratings out of a score out of 10. I will give it a 5.5 because it was good seeing the Hardy Boys, the Flapjack Challenge, or the Johnny Cakes as they call it. That was a fun thing. Carving the different pumpkins was kind of fun. Learning some of the secrets about the Salem witch trials and all that kind of stuff, that was kind of cool in its own way. And finding the upper level of the library that you could explore up into, that was kind of cool. But other than that, like I said, the fact that you didn't know how to play the puzzles and solve them, the settings were just, it felt like they could have done more because, like I said, there was so much that you had to turn a certain way, you had to click a certain way, and you had to do things just so in order to navigate, and I didn't like that at all. Even when I did it on the lowest settings, it was just like, what am I doing? How am I going to find my way there? And I had to literally go through people's walkthroughs and figure out what I was doing because I myself was confused on what I was doing. And the one that was really getting to me, which is so frustrating, like I said, is the ghost tracker puzzle that Joe has you as Frank setting up. And you don't know if you're doing it right. And you don't, it's like a lot of trial and error, multiple error before you finally get it. And it's like so tedious. So, like I said, would I play this game again? Probably not. If I were to play it again, I'd probably be doing it where I'd be making fun of the game more than anything because I was so, like I said, angry by what I saw and what I played because this was not the game I was promised. So I apologize for going on and on about this, guys, because like I said, I've played Nancy Drew games many times over the years, and each time they seem to have gotten better, but this one was not. And so this was my least favorite of the Nancy Drew games. I mean, I thought the one of Shadow at the Water's Edge with a lot of the puzzles, I thought some of the others were pretty bad. So I'm going to modify my rating from 5.5. I have to give it a 2. I have to give it a 2. So I know I said 5.5 because of the Hardy Boys, but I'm going to have to change it. I realize, no, this game was cringy on some of those, so I have to give it a 2. A 2.5 because, like I said, the only things that were redeeming was carving the pumpkins, making the Johnny cakes or flapjacks / pancakes, and yeah. And like I said, I'm not saying I work for Her Interactive, because I wouldn't want to work for Her Interactive, especially the way they did this, because this was a sorry mess of a game. It really was. I mean, I understand that they outsourced it to others beyond who they normally did it with, and they got a different game and utility people to work with. But the thing is, I've played other games and I see that each time they come out with more and better games, and it's good quality each time, and it always leaves me satisfied. But this one, when I'm seeing the way Her Interactive did this one, I was not satisfied. So Midnight in Salem, you get it 2.5. I mean, that's being generous. I was gonna make it 5, but then I started reflecting on it just now, and I said, no, that's a little bit too kind. It needs to be a 2.5. This game was not up to par, and so yeah. But hope you guys have a good rest of your day and everything like that. I apologize that this review is so late, but just finally finding the time to just sit down and get it all out, because like I said, this one was just a cringe fest on so many levels, and I was so disappointed by what I saw. So yeah, Her Interactive, you could have done so much better. Midnight in Salem, I do not recommend. Alright guys, this is AVP or Alicia signing off. Have a good night. Bye.